It is April 3rd, 1985. Imagine driving down Interstate 75 through Campbell County, Tennessee. The sun is just starting to cut through the morning fog, and the mountains are perfectly still. A routine maintenance worker steps out of his truck, moving down a steep, muddy embankment to clear debris before the spring rains wash the soil away. That is when he sees it. A heavy, green plastic trash bag, wedged tightly between two decaying logs. It looks like illegal dumping. It looks like ordinary roadside garbage, until he gets closer, until he notices the shape. When the local sheriff arrives, they slice through the thick plastic. Inside are the remains of a young woman. She has distinct reddish-brown hair, and she has been dead for less than 72 hours. The detectives scan the surrounding brush for anything the killer might have dropped in a hurry. Just 12 feet away, caught in the thorns of a wild bramble, a detective spots a torn piece of paper. It is a fragment of a commercial shipping manifest, damp from the dew, bearing a faded 5-digit fleet identification number. It does not belong to any local business in Campbell County. Before we get to what was written on that paper and how it sat in an evidence locker for decades, you need to understand that this paper was a fingerprint left by a ghost. We will come back to it. This is not a story about random local tragedies. This is not a story about bad luck in quiet rural towns. This is not even a story about isolated, unrelated crimes. This is a story about the American interstate system being systematically weaponized by a singular mind. It is a story about how thousands of miles of asphalt were transformed into a hunting ground, and how a predator used the legal boundaries of state lines to keep his name out of the police files. Because if you are moving fast enough, the law can never catch up to your taillights. To understand how the trap was set, you have to look back to February 1983. Imagine a cold morning in Wetzel County, West Virginia. A driver pulls over along Interstate 80, looking out over the snow-covered hillside. Down in the clearing, wrapped in an old blanket, lies a young woman with deep red hair. She has no identification, no wallet, no name. The local police take her fingerprints, they check their local missing persons reports, and they find absolutely nothing. She becomes a ghost in their system. For decades, her family would wake up every single morning wondering where she was, staring at an empty bedroom. It would take 35 years of quiet desperation before modern forensic science finally gave her name back to the world. Her name was Lisa Nichols. She was 19 years old. But it gets darker. Just 11 months after Lisa was found, the pattern shifted south. It is January 1984, and you are standing on the shoulder of Interstate 65 in Barron County, Kentucky. A passing motorist spots a large bundle wrapped tightly in a heavy blue canvas tarp. When the Kentucky State Police cut the ropes, they find another young woman. She has the exact same profile: reddish-brown hair, petite build, left within a stone's throw of an interstate exit. According to the official Kentucky State Police incident log from that morning, there are no signs of a struggle at the scene, no footprints, no vehicle tracks. The killer had simply pulled over, dropped the weight from his vehicle, and merged back into the midnight traffic. Imagine being the detective who gets this file. You check the local gas stations, you interview the local motel staff, but every lead goes completely cold. You have no idea that just one state away, another sheriff's department is looking at the exact same physical signature. At the time, local police departments do not share data across state lines unless they know they are looking for the same person. The killer knew this. He relied on it. He knew that if he crossed a state line, the digital trail vanished. Enter Special Agent Jerry Lauderdale of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. He is a veteran investigator who spent his career looking at the gaps in the system. In the spring of 1985, Lauderdale does something no one else had thought to do. He pulls the physical paper files from surrounding states and lays them across a massive wooden conference table. He looks at West Virginia. He looks at Kentucky. He looks at the fresh file from Campbell County, Tennessee. As his fingers trace the red ink on the map, the realization hits him like a physical blow. The common denominator in these deaths is not the counties. It is not the local towns. It is the asphalt that connects them. The victims are all being discovered within 100 feet of major logistics arteries. Someone is using the backbone of American commerce to hide a trail of human destruction, and they are moving faster than the paperwork can fly between police stations. Think about the sheer scale of what we are looking at. 3 different states, 3 separate highways, 3 young women with the exact same hair color, all left completely nameless on the side of the road, while the wheels of commerce keep turning right past them. The killer is playing a game of geographic chess, and up to this point, he is winning because the system is completely blind to his movements. Stay with me, because this is where it changes. We are about to look at the exact moment the timeline condensed, and how a world-renowned forensic scientist proved that the killer was operating on a strict commercial delivery schedule. If you want to make sure these forgotten stories are never buried by time, and if you want to support deep facts-first investigative journalism, take a second to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. It ensures that the names of these victims are never lost to the algorithm. Now, watch what happens next. It is April 16th, 1985. Exactly 13 days after the body in the green trash bag was discovered in Campbell County, the pattern accelerates. A truck driver pulls his rig onto the shoulder of Interstate 81 in Greene County, Tennessee, to check a loose cargo strap. As he steps into the grass, he freezes. There, lying in the ditch, is the body of another young woman. She has reddish hair. She has been left near an exit ramp. Regional panic explodes across the state line. The media starts calling them the Redhead Murders, and local women are terrified to pull over at a rest stop after dark. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation calls in Dr. Bill Bass, the legendary forensic anthropologist and founder of the University of Tennessee Body Farm. According to autopsy report number A85321, Dr. Bass and his team carefully analyzed the skeletal remains and the post-mortem intervals of the latest victims. When Agent Jerry Lauderdale compares Dr. Bass's forensic timeline with the regional highway maps, the official narrative of disconnected local crimes completely collapses. This is not a series of local drifters committing isolated acts of violence. The science proves that the deaths are happening within days of each other, perfectly matching the standard transit times of cross-country commercial freight lines. Pay attention to this detail. The killer is not a resident of these small towns. He is a phantom passing through them at 60 miles per hour. He knows exactly where the county lines blur, where the sheriff's radio frequencies fade out, and where a body can sit in the brush for weeks before anyone notices. He is using the very system built to connect the country to keep himself completely isolated from suspicion. But an investigator's memory can hold on to a clue for a very long time, and that torn piece of paper from the Campbell County brush was still waiting in the dark. The breakthrough did not happen in a crowded courtroom. It did not happen during a high-speed chase. It happened decades later, when the fragmented files of a dozen independent sheriff departments finally collided inside a modern forensic database. In September 2018, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation ran old fingerprint cards through an updated national missing persons system. A match clicked. The body found wrapped in that heavy canvas tarp along Interstate 65 back in 1984 finally had her true name restored. Her name was Tina Farmer. She was a 21-year-old mother from Indiana who had disappeared after boarding a truck headed down south. And now, that torn piece of paper. With Tina Farmer finally identified, detectives pulled the historical logbooks of a long-haul truck driver named Bruce Mendenhall, who had been arrested at a Nashville truck stop after a separate, brutal crime inside his cab. As investigators manually scanned the yellowed carbon copies of his old shipping manifests from the 1980s, they found it. A defunct regional transport company logbook matching the exact 5-digit fleet identification number from the torn paper found in the Campbell County brush 33 years earlier. The route sheets placed his commercial rig at the exact exits, on the exact dates, at the exact hours that the bodies of those young women were dropped along the highway corridors. The geographic trap had closed. This was not a failure of forensic science. This was a failure of administrative silos. For over 30 years, the truth sat entirely exposed in cardboard boxes because the state borders acted as a shield for a predator. The killer did not possess a brilliant mind. He simply possessed a commercial driver's license and a system that refused to look past its own county lines. When you look back at the sprawling grid of the American highway system, the true scope of this tragedy becomes entirely clear. This case leaves us with three definitive truths. First, the geography of a crime is often the loudest piece of evidence. The killer did not leave his signature on the victims. He left it on the map, using the asphalt lines of the interstates to write his intent. Second, this case exposes how easily a system built on local isolation can be exploited. Predators do not succeed because they are invisible. They succeed because our institutions choose to look at the world through a keyhole, refusing to share the data that connects the pieces. But here is the final takeaway, and it is the part that should stay with you long after the screen goes dark. This is a reminder of the human cost of being forgotten. For over 30 years, families woke up to an empty house, staring at a telephone that never rang, while the names of their daughters were reduced to cold geographic coordinates in a state archive. Of all the forensic breakthroughs that cracked this case decades later, do you believe justice was truly served, or are there pieces of this highway pattern still hidden in the archives? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. The next time you're driving down an isolated stretch of interstate late at night, watching the green highway signs flash past in the headlights, remember this trail. The asphalt does not remember the names of the missing, but the records finally do.